Okay, hi Hillary and Carolyn. I'm really excited to get to observe your lesson today. I understand that you're going to be doing something on a protocol called re-engagement. So could you tell me a little bit about what that means to you?
Well, we're going to do a lesson that the class has already taken an assessment, and we're going to go back to that assessment and have them think about the problems again.
We're going to have them look at some of the other responses to the problem that their different classmates have had so that they can understand different approaches to the problem and therefore get a broader view of all the mathematics involved in the problem.
Okay, and why do you think that it's really important to go back and rediscuss a task after you've already given it to the class?
Well, for the students who didn't do it all correctly and have still need to learn from it, that gives them more time to understand the items that they didn't understand the first time around. And for the students who did do well, they will get a chance to think about other ways of solving the problem and to push themselves a little bit further.
Once they've done a task, they're familiar with it, so that when they go back, sometimes I know that I am amazed to find out how much more there is to get out of a task just by rethinking it and thinking about it more deeply.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the process of how you chose your questions or your problems that you're going to present to the students today?
Well,
we looked back at some of the student work and we saw that where some of the students were having some difficulties. And we saw what we thought what was interesting mathematically in those difficulties, and we wanted to get them to confront what didn't make sense and really think it through. Think about why it did and why it didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what are you hoping that students will get out of today's lesson?
I'm hoping that it will further their understanding, that they will each learn a little bit more about the problems than they had done the first time around.
And they should discover that it's so much fun. Doing this kind of mathematics and the logic of the thinking is just pure fun, and there's no right and wrong except in the mathematics itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I know when you guys were planning the lesson, you had a really large discussion about how to introduce the lesson. Can you sort of rethink what some of your logic was about how you were going to introduce the lesson?
I'm trying to remember.
Like how are you going to present the problem originally, why you wanted to look at this thinking again?
Was that we decided to start with the first problem on the assessment. Is that what you were thinking? I'm sorry, I'm having
Are you trying to think about what order we wanted to have?
Well, I think it was like that you wanted to pose the questions to students in a way that would get them sort of excited about rethinking those particular tasks.
Yeah. That's right. When you come back, the idea was you come back, and it was so interesting. We got so many different responses from these different, from the same question, many different responses. What was each one of these students thinking? And what was valid in it? And why were they thinking this way? And how it could lead? Mm-hmm. It often opens up new avenues of thoughts.
Right, and we wanted the other students to be able to see those interesting ways of thinking.
Yeah, it seems like that there was something that you were talking about getting them to think like mathematicians that you were going to put in that introduction.
That's right.
And it will be.
That's right. We want that. We were telling them we actually want them to be acting like mathematicians instead of just being like calculators. We want them to be acting like mathematicians. Mathematicians discuss interesting problems, and we want them to have that experience. That's the excitement and